Hi, I'm Matt Dalby and I'm back with another episode of Santiago's Dead Media. This time I need to give a little context because this is going to go out probably a few weeks after I record it, so some of it won't make sense in the depths of winter. It's October the 15th, it's a Saturday, and it's about 6:45 now. So it's evening, it's not dark yet, but it's getting dusk. It's been sort of getting gloomy for a while, but still pretty much daylight as I'm speaking at the moment. I came out for a walk. As I set out on the walk, I thought, you know what, I'll try something different. I'll try recording out of doors. I will do more recording out of doors in future. This one, though, is a bit unusual in that it's on my phone because I wasn't prepared, so I didn't bring my proper digital recorder. Now, as I was setting out, I had an encounter, which, I'll get to that before I do what I was going to do. I was going to just do a sort of descriptive piece. But I had this encounter which I really felt I had to pass on. Now, I currently live in Whalley Range, and about 8 years ago I also lived in Whalley Range. I lived in a different flat. I was with a private landlord. It was a really, really nice flat, good landlords. I moved in there 2008, and this house had the set of rooms that I was in were owned by private landlords. There was other rooms on other floors which were housing association, and downstairs in particular there was a guy called Michael, he has two consuming interests, and those two consuming interests are smoking weed and listening to Eminem, which seems like a perfectly fine way to structure your life, if not perhaps a little limiting, but we'll get to that. Now, after I've been in the place 3 years, 2011, my job moved to Liverpool, and I wasn't about to follow it. I had some savings. I got a small voluntary redundancy from the job, and so I took that money. I went to China for 3 months to do an artist residency, which was really great. It taught me a lot about the visual art that I was doing. I came back, I moved into a place in Fallowfield, so I really had no particular reason to go to Whalley Range unless I was passing through on the way elsewhere, or if I was meeting friends who lived there. So I didn't see a lot of this guy Michael. Today, as I'm walking out, I see him coming back from the shops, and I try to avoid him, largely because I don't have a lot to say to him. Also because I'm autistic. I find conversation with anyone pretty difficult, even with friends and family, people that I know well and trust. So, with someone I've not seen in years and with whom I don't have very much in common, it's not that easy. And I also knew exactly how the conversation was going to go, and it did. So it was awkward handshake. Hi, yo, what's up? Can't remember your name. I'm Matt. Oh, Matt, yeah, I'm Michael. Yeah, Eminem. And this was exactly the conversation we would have if I met him out in town, if I met him in the house. Wherever I met him, the conversation was always the same. What's up? Can't remember your name. I'm Matt. Oh, I'm Michael. Yeah, Eminem. And this is the problem with only having really two consuming interests. It gives you very limited range of conversation. So anyway, that pointless anecdote out of the way, which took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Let's move on. The reason I came out here was the reason I decided to come out here and do some recording was just to do a descriptive piece. Really, the autumn has been slow in getting started. It hasn't been particularly cold yet, and most of the trees are still green. So if I look to my right here, I'm on the banks of the Mersey. I can see right in the distance, kind of in the middle of my vision, as I'm standing right now, there's an electric pylon half hidden behind trees. In front of that, there's a section of a bridge which holds Princess Road. That's the traffic noise that you might be able to hear. And on this bank of the river, there's a steep bank down to the river. Then there's this path, and then there's another steep bank leading up, and on top of that are trees, and there's a whole just wall of trees swinging around that couple of 100 meters, maybe more, up to this point, and then that carries on to the corner behind me. If I turn to my left, only a much shorter distance. The turn in the river is a lot closer here. On the other side of the river, staying on the left, similar arrangement, steep bank up from the river, path at about the same level as this one, a much taller embankment coming up from the path and leading to another path, and then another embankment, and then housing. That sort of peters out after 3 or 4, 5 houses. Then we're back to the same picture of trees following the riverbank down, and those trees bring us right the way back to the electric pylon. The sky it was a lot bluer. It's now starting to sort of cloud and fog up a bit and get a bit grey and white. There's less blue. Not much in the way of condensation trails visible. They're normally quite a lot because Manchester Airport isn't far away. And if I come down to the river, to the Mersey, we've got the last remnants of... No, these are bushes. I thought these were the last remnants of Indian balsam, but they're certainly not. The river itself is looking kind of brown at the moment. It's not particularly low, but it's certainly not high. It can climb a couple of meters in height from where it is at the moment. And yeah, it looks nice. It's very peaceful, other than the persistent traffic noise over to one side. Some of the trees have got slight yellow bits here when I look from this angle, but mostly they've still got the foliage. And actually, so far this description is not as long as my initial anecdote, so I'm going to have to string it out for a bit. The river has a sort of scum foam, not covering it, but little spots here and there, because there's a kind of small weir. There's a bit where there's kind of white water for a short section. Not particularly risky. I mean, you could walk through it without coming to harm, but enough to churn up and put some slight bubbles on the surface of the water. Obviously the sky is reflected in it, the trees. There's plenty of joggers, although I've managed to choose on this side a moment when I haven't been passed by many joggers on this side, or cyclists. The first time I tried recording, there seemed to be no end to them, but I've picked a good moment, probably because it's starting to get late now. I'd love to tell you what the trees are, but my botanical knowledge is really very limited. I can tell you there's next year's blackberry bushes looking fine. There'll be some blackberries on them. I don't know if there'll be a lot or not. There's a hawthorn tree there. That looks kind of like a willow. This is not very informative at all. Birds, I'm not very good at recognising it, and a lot of them have now retreated to the trees. You'll see an occasional pigeon. You'll certainly see a lot of magpies around here, occasionally flitting into a tree or just darting ahead of you. You might see a jay. You'll see crows. There's something there. That's a jackdaw. It's a magpie. You'll generally see ducks and geese on the river. If there's birds around on there, there's another magpie. They're pretty much the quintessential birds around here. This section of the path often has rabbits. as well, but again, we're getting late, so things are going to be hiding up and getting ready for the night, and the nocturnal things, I guess, won't quite be out yet, or if they are, they're avoiding me. Anyway, that's enough of my blethering for now. I'll take a photo of this, I think, to try and use as a title card, so you've at least got some clue what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's all for now. See ya.